Hello, my name is Jasmine Lee, and I am not your mama's astrologer. Welcome to the week. This is kind of one of those bigger deal weeks. Sometimes we get a chill week, sometimes we get a not chill week, and I feel like this week wants to be chill. It just has some impediments against being chill. So I want you to think about if it is hard for you to master your chill this week, that maybe it is not all your fault. And what you do with your unmastered chill says a lot about how you deal with yourself, with conflict, with things not going your way, with the impending doom of a Mercury retrograde. So here we are, Monday. Mars is making a trine to Neptune. This is an interesting way to start the week because, Mars is very warrior vibes in Scorpio, high level of intensity, high activation levels of wanting to know stuff. Scorpio's the detective. Scorpio wants to get to the bottom of something, and Mars can do it. And so when Mars is trining Neptune, Neptune is our dream space, our intuition, the veil, the other things. It's kind of a great way to be ending Halloween weekend and into this darker time, into this more veiled space. So I kind of dig that. It's like we can start the week with a little bit more grasp on our intuition, a little bit more grasp on what we think is trying to be here now, not just in our dream space, something that we maybe have been dreaming about for a while. And Mars is like, bruh, maybe you just need to do this one thing, or bruh, maybe you just need to get up off the couch, or bruh, maybe you just need to say it, do it, feel it, experience it. Fill in your own personal blank there. What do you think it is? What do you think is something that has been perhaps dormant, perhaps more Neptunian, harder to grasp, and yet pervasively in your soul? What is something that you have been thinking about, dreaming about, yearning for, leaning towards, wishing for, and yet there's been no quantifiable action towards said dream? Well, that's what Monday can be all about. So it's a great time to journal. It's a great time to meditate. It's a great time to master your chill. That's going to be the vibe this week. Figuring out how you can stay neutral when the world is moving you, because every day is an opportunity to be moved. But when there's loads of astrology going on in a week, it is a little overstimulating. It can feel as though you're losing a little bit of the script, or it can create a little bit of that indifference. If there's so much going on, I'm just gonna turtle. I'm gonna go in my shell and I'm not gonna experience. And I think that Monday is whispering to us, this isn't one of those times. It's not one of those times to shy away from what is moving you right now. Good, bad, or ugly, whatever is moving you, I want you to feel deeply moved. And then Tuesday, Mars changes signs. So Mars gives us this hit, this vibe of you can do this, you can change. And then Mars changes. Mars changes from Scorpio, high level of intensity, maybe a little much, into Sagittarius, which is much in the other way. It's extra. Sagittarius is the student, the learner, the philosopher, the person who needs to experience it in order to know it. You can't just think it, you have to embody it. So when our warrior is in this sign, when our can-do, action-based reality is in this sign, wow, it's a great time for travel. It's a great time for planning said travels. It's a great time for thoughts around where you want to go intellectually, thoughts around where is your belief system leading you? What path are you walking down right now? I always think when Mars changes signs, it is a time to change our armor. Scorpio can have trust issues. Scorpio can be very private. Scorpio can be very secret oriented. And Sagittarius isn't that. Like, Sagittarius is just going to say the thing. Sagittarius is just going to blurt it out. Sagittarius is just going to move forward, even if they're barefoot, even if there's shit to trip over. Sagittarius wants forward momentum. And to have that be in our Mars sign, it is an opportunity to get stuff done or to physically move. And then that same day, it's going to be opposing Uranus, which is our planet of great big fatty changes. So is that energy that's cozy? Not really. It doesn't feel super cozy to me when I, go into it. But what I think is, it is when we say, why does this always happen to me? Or when we finish our own life sentences before even adding a goddamn comma to the mix, we don't know what's going to be next. We don't know what the sentence is trying to tell us of our lives. We just have to follow it. And when Mars is opposing Uranus, it's maybe a little bit of resistance around big change. So here we are Monday having our big dreams, whispering quietly to us. And then on Tuesday, maybe the fear comes up. Maybe the imposter syndrome comes up. Maybe, being a little mean to yourself comes up, or wanting to laugh it off because Mars in Sag doesn't want to take it as serious. But then that opposition to Uranus says, but what if everything could change? What if what you wanted required everything to change? Would you do it? Would you still try it? What if you are the thing that is standing in your way? What if you are the very impediment that is keeping you from finishing what it is you want to even start, begin, keep going with? It's something to think about. It's a very self-help kind of vibe, if you ask me, because I feel like we're more able to see where we're stuck, where we're flawed, where the benchmarks are that we've laid for ourselves, and how far we've gone to or around or behind those benchmarks. It's like a gut check moment of, are you where you want to be right now? It's disruptive though when we're honest with ourselves. It creates disruption in our homeostasis when we are willing to admit that what it costs us to stay the same reaches a level that we can't pay anymore. That now we have to change in order to be happy, in order to thrive, in order to move on to the next. It's going to require a sacrifice, because even the good stuff, even the good changes, even the promotions, even the job shifts are going to ask something of you in return. I have always found the universe to be incredibly reciprocal, that if I am willing to give up a certain thing, that there is another thing that I gain by giving that other thing up. And so that's kind of the vibes that I'm feeling into this week of, in order to be a trailblazer, in order to have a breakthrough, you have to have something that you're punching through. You have to be getting rid of the delusion of self. You have to get rid of everything having to always be the same. You have to be willing to see yourself differently first. And that's when the helpers come up. And that's when the new paths start to make sense. And that's when the shoes start to fit better for which to walk down the path, is because you're breaking them in. What are you breaking inside yourself right now? What has been asking to change Monday that is going to get loud, that then on Tuesday we're going to have to start conditioning ourselves towards, orient ourselves around? It's going to take some righteous honesty about how you have not been being honest with yourself. Because Scorpio and Sag both require honesty, require accountability, and require the ability to go deep. And if you have played it topical, that's going to get blown out of the water this week. Because then Wednesday we have this big fatty full moon. Full moons are always hijinksy, though a full moon in Taurus is a little bit more chill. So again, the mastering of chill. It's that notion again of when things get a little bit out of control, or when you feel like you've lost the script a little bit, or when you need to change in a bigger way that maybe you hadn't anticipated. This full moon is here to say, it's all about foundation, baby. In Taurus, we want to be nourished. We want to be rested. We want to have sex. We want to have good food. We want to at least set our bodies up for success, because then the rest follows. When we are energetically kept, then the things around us tend to fall into order when we are taking care of ourselves. And a full moon in Taurus is going to show us exactly where we're not taking care of ourselves. The Taurus full moon is going to show us exactly where our foundations that we think we're building are kind of fake and false. And that really our notions of safety are quite, arbitrary. That at any time, a natural disaster could happen. If you're following that, big disaster in Jamaica, at any time, a car could be driving the wrong side of the road. At any time, your life could change for better or for worse. And so a full moon is always asking us to recondition ourselves around what is safe, what is foundational, because at the end of the day, it's really just you, your soul, your body, your mind. Those are the places where you can refoundation yourself to be your highest level of self, because when you're operating authentically and truly, then the opportunities and the life goals start representing themselves truly and authentically. If you keep complaining about your job, if you keep complaining about your sore back, if you keep complaining about the status quo, then you can't really be mad when this week comes on in like a cat on a table and puts the goddamn water off the table, and then you have a big mess. Nobody likes cleaning out the closet and having a whole bunch of clothes on the floor. It's always a good idea when you start, and then you start gutting it and you're like, oh damn, this was a much bigger project than I thought. That's us, that's our bodies, that's our souls. We're a much bigger project than we could ever anticipate. And once you start pulling one thread, many threads are to come. And this is a thread pulling week. But there's good things too. Mars is still here in the game. He's sextiling Pluto on Thursday. And when Mars is making a positive aspect to the planet that wants us to transform, all of the things that are happening this week that are asking us to change give us a little sugar. They give us a little reward. They give us a proverbial cookie of recognition that, yeah, maybe this is for the better. Yeah, maybe transforming isn't so scary when and only when you trust yourself. That if no matter what happens to me, good, bad, ugly, I trust me, then I know that I have a 100% success rate of getting through everything that has ever happened in my life 100% of the time. And what if that trust was unconditional? What if I unconditionally trusted myself? That warrior sextiling that transformation is asking us to trust our process, to trust the hard parts of it the same way we want to trust the good parts of it. And then Friday, Venus comes in, and Venus squares Pluto, and Venus says, but who are your helpers? Who are the people around you that can help you sort this? Who are the people that are going to help you transform? Because trust with self equates to trusting others, because then your vibes line up. And so if you start trusting yourself and all of a sudden there's someone in your life who is not aligning with your vibes, information. That's information to live by. And Venus squaring Pluto is saying sometimes love isn't enough, that trust is more important than just, well, I love this thing, or I love this person, or I love the idea of this working out. When really Venus is saying, yeah, but do you trust that? But is it trustworthy? Is the idea of it more important than the it? I see bitches all the time wanting to get married, and they don't even care who they're with. They're getting married to like guys that wear their ball cap sideways. I mean, those people get married. It's crazy, I know, but they do. And really, it's the idea of just getting married for the purpose of getting married. And that doesn't really align with true love, does it? It aligns with a paradigm that we create around what we think we should be doing at certain age benchmarks. And so all this week is asking that we back it on up and ask ourselves, are we playing into the paradigm, or are we actively activating and working for ourselves? And that's the big question of this week, that if you can find your chill when the world is topsy-turvy, when anything could happen, when change is on the horizon, how can you stay chill? How can you be neutral and watch with curiosity instead of fear? Because so many of us live in a fear-based reality. So many of us are afraid to lose what little we have. So many of us are afraid to lose our resources. And here we are, food stamps being taken away, government shutting down, all of these different ways in which we are getting unfoundationed to teach us to foundation different, to teach us to resource different, to teach us that there has to be a better way. But what is that way? That's what the week wants to know. And then Uranus is going to move into Taurus. Uranus being in Taurus is big changes to foundations, is big changes to structures, is big changes to, all of that stuff I was just talking about. So when Uranus sneaks on in and wants to wreck the joint, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to stay chill? What if everything shut down tomorrow? Would we be able to still function for ourselves? Ugh. I don't know if I would. I don't know if I'd make it in the zombie apocalypse, honestly. But I might be able to maintain some chill this week. So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. And then Sunday, it is the thing that everybody knows about, that everybody judges, that everybody has a big fat stereotype around it, is Mercury retrograde. Okay? And I say it every single Mercury retrograde. If it breaks, it was meant to break. If you get dumped, you were meant to get dumped. If you break your foot, there's a reason you're supposed to. If you get scammed, there's a reason. Mercury retrograde isn't, it's not doing it to you. This isn't like a punishment. It's an ask to slow down. That when you can think slower, which is super hard for this lady, but when you can slow it down, when you can ask instead of proclaim, instead of those are two completely different vibes. When something crazy intense happens, or when something doesn't go your way, or when something breaks down, or having kids and cats, when someone breaks something in the house or pees on the carpet or does something stupid, instead of just the initial of it, you think about the around it. You think about, what is my attachment to what's happening right now? You think about, why is it so easy for me to get lit in this direction and not in that direction? Why is it so easy to get mad and harder yet to be happy all the time? Because we're on a pendulum. We swing back and forth. And sometimes when things happen to us in the moment, it's very hard to glean perspective because you're in it. You're in the soup of it. That's why reality television is so dope, because you're in the TV yelling at them, being like, don't do it. But they don't know, because they're in the soup of their life, of their choices, of what is being told to them. And we only know what we know when we know it. And so Mercury retrograde is always, always, always an opportunity to know more things. Usually by hijinks happening. And then you don't know what you know until you know it. But then you know it. And that's very Sagittarian, because Sagittarius energy wants to know. So Mars going into Sag gives us that extra oomph to at least want to get to the bottom of it. But I ask one more time, can you indeed maintain your chill when people are going crazy, when the world is going crazy, when there could be aliens any day now? Bob, here I am. Yeah, who knows? But the only thing you can know is you, is what you're made of. And so I ask this week, what do you think you're made of? Because that's going to come in really handy. Knowing yourself in times of strife is the way to get through the strife. Because then it's not really about what anybody else thinks, and it's not really about what happens to you. It's about how you react to it. It's about how you end up thinking about yourself as a result of said lived experience. And that we all promised when we came down to this earth as souls, we promised to live. Because our body tells us to, because it breathes in and out, because we strive for anything, because there is a longing, because there is a deepness. And Venus is moving into Scorpio this week. And so when Venus moves into Scorpio, it is this deep, longing desire to be understood on a cellular level. Who just got done teaching cellular biology? This bitch. On a cellular level, you can change and rearrange your whole body by being your authentic self, by sticking to what feels true to you. And a Venus in Scorpio is going to be discerning. A Venus in Scorpio is going to see things deeper than they normally do. And it's the leaning into the trust. It's the leaning into your desire. It's the trusting that what you are longing for is longing for you back. You just have to believe that that's true. Because oftentimes the things that we want the most in our life remain unattainable because of our limiting beliefs and because of what we say is true. And if your biggest dream feels silly to you, or your biggest dream feels unmanageable and like you'll never get there, then you never will, because you're telling yourself you won't. And a Venus in Scorpio tells herself, I want, I desire. And from that desire can come solutions. And so I ask you this week to maintain your chill and to long and to want and to lean in to what is changing you and to lean back from what isn't accepting you and to let go of what is breaking around you and inside of you. Because sometimes we don't know what we're made of until we're broken wide open. So the card I just pulled, is Milk and Honey. It is this beautiful rainbow and a little basket, and there's some yummy shit in it. There's like food and drink and all of the things we need to nourish ourselves. And I love pulling a very positive card like this in a week that is incredibly dynamic, because it shows us that we are resourced. It shows us that what we want is attainable. We just got to work for it. So put your big girl panties on and work. The end. Thank you for listening. I hope this week shows you something about yourself, gives you some gumption, and makes you feel just a little bit proud of yourself. Because when you step outside your comfort zone, you choose to trust yourself and you lean in, something, someone, some force leans back. Don't forget that. Thank you so much. Please like, subscribe, share. If you leave a review, I send you a tarot story. It's awesome. Trust me. Just try it out. Just give it a try. At Jasmine Lee Astrology on Instagram, at Not Your Mama's Astrologer podcast on iTunes. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week.